pour le live. J'ai plein de batteries là.
Et le micro, on est à volontiers basse. Ouais, d'accord, parce que je dois savoir, est-ce qu'il va commencer à 55, il va commencer à 50, ou est-ce qu'il va commencer à 15? Parce que moi, je commence en 3 minutes et je ne veux pas qu'il... Welcome to Payerne, Switzerland for this very special occasion, the unveiling of Solar Impulse 2. This is the airplane that is going to take people around the world. It's everyone we're taking with us in this real adventure. You can hear some of the fighter pilots who are here. A bit of that noise will be taking place. It's normal, we're in a military area, and a member of the Swiss government will be here, the Minister of Defence, a little later on, and he's extremely happy that we're here because this is, for Switzerland, very important in terms of the image it presents for the country around the world. But back to the plane. At around about 3:30 Central European time, you'll get to see it for the first time, along with all of these lucky people who are here with us in the room. We've got representatives of governments from around the world, from the Arab states, Mexico, Jordan, the United States, France, many, many more. And a few VIPs as well. You'll get to see them a little later, as well as many members of the Solar Impulse team who've been working on this project, some of them, for around about 10 years. And I've got one of them here with me now, Peter Frey, who has been here since the very beginning. Peter, just come over here a little bit. And Peter, I know you've known André for a long, long time. You were in the Swiss Air Force together, and you were in at the beginning of Solar Impulse. And to see it from then, when it was just a plan, to this finished plane that we're all going to see in around about half an hour's time, you must be pretty excited.
Yes, I think I'm excited to see the reception in public because, you know, we know how it looks like, but going back 11 years, doing the feasibility study and now what we have, it's an incredible gap or a jump that we did. It's 10% of aviation history. You know, aviation history is about 114 years or 111 years old. So 11 years is 10% of what all aviation history is done, and the history we did is dramatic. You know, at the beginning there were experts from aeronautics that said we think it's not feasible, and now we have an airplane that you will see with a well-equipped cockpit where the pilot can live in for days. So that's a big step.
You're the head of conceptual design and aerodynamics, and were you convinced that aerodynamically such a project could exist?
At the beginning I was curious to find out, and I would say half a year after we started I was convinced we can do something that goes into the direction where we wanted to be, but we were not sure that we could do the flight through the night right at the beginning, so we were really studying how it has to be done and what is needed. But let's say 2 years after the feasibility study started, we were absolutely sure that we can do it.
Well, we've got a couple of your colleagues here, and I must say, we don't see people like you, Peter, very often. You're working hard in the shadows in Dubendorf, which is the other part of Solar Impulse near Zurich. And well, we're very glad to be able to get you in front of the camera at last. But let's have a chat with, well, let's speak with Robbie first of all, and then Jonas as well, who's head of the design team. Well, Robbie, you came from Formula One. It's a very different world from solar airplanes.
Well, on one hand, yes, you're right, of course, because what we do is to try as much energy as we can. This will take more and more place also in F1, but it's absolutely not the same. But we are, what is similar, and actually why I'm here also is because they also try very hard to optimize the weight in structure parts and on the whole car, of course, that the car is light and they can drive faster.
So there's some crossover in terms of energy efficiency.
Yes, absolutely. And well, it's a little bit, you know, they have regulations, we have other regulations, so it's but finally we aim for the same, to have a very stiff structure with the minimum weight.
And it looks fantastic, I have to say that. What do you think will be the reaction when we pull back the curtain in half an hour? What will people think when they see it?
Well, I guess many people will be surprised that we have today, on the day we present, a real finished airplane.
Okay, and is it completely finished, or are there still some touches you need to do before the round-the-world flight can finally take place next year?
Well, as announced already, we will have our first fly mid of May, and we are full in plan. It looks absolutely great. And yeah, sure, there are some little tiny details to be solved, but we are on track.
Well, thanks very much, Robbie. We can hear that the announcer is asking everyone to take their seats. Got to just have a couple of words with Jonas Scher before we begin. Jonas, I think we can just fit you in there before it all starts. Are you very excited about this occasion?
Yes, I am, and for sure my team is excited as well and will enjoy this day. Yeah.
You're the head of the design team. Someone described you as doing the interior design, all the interior work. Is that a fair description?
Would say, yeah. That's what you will see today is, let's see the outside, the shell of the airplane, and I'm very proud of doing the overall design or what you see, and I'm even more proud of that, what you don't see, what is inside, the heart of it, and the structure.
Now, you've also worked on SIA, which is Solar Impulse 1, the first plane which has already gone across America. It's gone from Europe to Africa. It was only designed to do 24-hour flight, but was already pushed to its limits. How different is this plane?
Well, it looks similar. Let's say what we have learned in doing the primary structure for the first airplane is about the same what we have done for the second airplane. But we have several new features inside, some improved mechanics, especially for the propulsion system or the gondolas. But overall, I can say it's about the same, but improved.
And you're confident that it can rise to the challenge of flying around the world?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable, confident in that. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see you later. You'll be on stage with Bertrand and André a little later on. Thanks for coming, Jonas. And thanks to the rest of the team. So we will see many of the members of the team a little later on. I'll briefly take you through what's going to be happening today. There'll be a few films that will be shown in the first half hour, very, very shortly, as soon as everyone has taken their seats. You'll hear from André and Bertrand as well. André Borschberg, who is the chairman, the CEO, and also one of the co-pilots, and Bertrand Piccard, the chairman and the founder, and also the pilot of Solar Impulse. They'll give you a bit of an introductory explanation of what Solar Impulse is all about, and then at around about 20 to 4, you will finally see the plane. The curtains will be pulled back. But it doesn't finish there. We're actually going to be on air live until 5:30 because there's going to be a panel discussion which will allow you to understand the contribution of some of the many partners that Solar Impulse has to this project. Around 90 in all. We won't be able to hear from all of them, but a selection will be on stage to explain what they all do. After that, you'll get your chance to ask questions, and not just the people here in the room, but you watching this around the world. You can ask your questions. The easiest way is via the website, solarimpulse.com. And also you can use Twitter. Just go to #DiscoverSI2. And many people are already putting their questions there. I've seen some pretty good ones, and the best will be chosen by Bertrand and André. So get your questions in now, and you can ask questions right up until 5 o'clock, and that's when the question and answer session will take place. So there, in a nutshell, is what is going to be taking place from now until 5:30 Central European time. I think we still have a couple of minutes before everyone takes their seats. So I'll just briefly take you through a couple more things that are happening this year. So this year, there will be other chances to see the aeroplane in the flesh, as it were. There'll be a few test flights here at the Payerne Airfield. And we recommend if you can come down, at the end of August, it'll be the Payerne Air Show. And there will be an exhibition flight by Solar Impulse 2. So that would be the best chance to see the plane itself. The team have a lot to do. The pilots have more preparation to do. Of course, the rest of the team around Solar Impulse has to be put together. There's a core team, many of whom you'll be seeing on stage a little later, but other people need to be employed as we get nearer the date. There are a huge number of people that are needed to follow in the support team, the team that's going to be following the plane around the world and also at mission control. And well, what is mission control? Mission control will be somewhere in the Gulf region, we think it now. It's not entirely sorted out. That's another thing that needs to be done this year to get the flight plan completely sorted and locked down. At the moment, we think we're going to be starting off in the Gulf region, flying over the Arabian Sea to India, then Myanmar, then on to China, cross the Pacific Ocean, crossing the United States, then crossing the Atlantic into Southern Europe or Northern Africa, and then back to the Gulf region. And I did say crossing the oceans there, and you might know that Solar Impulse is not exactly a speedy plane. It doesn't have a particularly high top speed. Around 140 kilometers an hour is the maximum it can do. So some of these flights are going to take a long time. And in fact, we are preparing for flights that will last as long as 5 days and 5 nights, which is an incredible feat of endurance for the pilots. They've been training for this a lot. And if you want to see some of that training, you can on this website, solarimpulse.com, where there are a huge number of videos about the 72-hour virtual flight, the flight simulator, but stretching right back to the beginning of the project around 10 years ago. That's all on this website, solarimpulse.com. Just click on the multimedia tab. So we're starting to get ready now. I think people are getting in their place. I can see some of the core members of the team here standing by, and we'll be back with you in just a few moments. And we're going to leave you now with a few images of this room full of VIPs, representatives from governments around the world, and the show will begin in just a few minutes' time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please have your seats. We'll start soon with the show of the day. Thank you very much.
And if you've just joined us, you're watching live pictures of the unveiling of Solar Impulse 2, and you will get to see the plane, we think, in around about 40 minutes' time. We've got a little bit of delay because there are so many people who want to see this plane that they're still streaming in to Payerne Airfield. And this is where we are, the home of Solar Impulse. A lot of people very privileged to be here, but you're privileged as well, because wherever you're watching around the world, I know many of you are, you are going to get to see this plane for the first time. And if you do want to see the plane in the flesh, there is another chance. If you happen to live in Switzerland or in one of the neighbouring countries, I do recommend you come along to the Payerne Air Show, which is taking place at the end of August. It's air14.ch, the website, and you'll find more information about the Payerne Air Show there. But back to today, we will be seeing the pilots soon. André Borschberg and Bertrand Piccard, they'll be giving an introduction to the plane. We'll have a few films that we put together to give you a bit of a background to this event, because there's 10 years of work behind this plane. You may have already seen the prototype, Solar Impulse 1. That was the plane that went across America last year and from Switzerland across to Africa the year before that. And it was only designed to do a 24-hour night flight, which it achieved with some aplomb, and went on to these adventures that we were on last year and the year before that. But this plane is the one that's been built to go around the world. It's like a souped-up version of the prototype. The wingspan is a little larger. The fuselage you'll see shortly is very different, a different shape, and the cockpit is larger. Well, I say larger, it's all relative. It's still only 3.8 meters cubed, and that is a pretty small space to be trapped in if you're flying for 5 full days and 5 full nights. And that is one of the challenges for these pilots. They've gone through extensive training, but still no one has ever done this before. No one has ever flown a plane that is this light with this long a wingspan. 72 meters, that's around the same as a Boeing 747. So it's going to be quite something when you see it. There will be a chance for you to get your questions answered by the pilots as well. The Q&A will be at around 5 o'clock Central European time. And there will be questions coming from the room here, but also from you. You can send your questions via Twitter to #DiscoverSI2, or you can do it directly via this website, solarimpulse.com, and you can just go to discuss and you can just type in your questions there. You'll see many people have already. We can't fit all your questions in, I'm afraid, but we will do our best, and André and Bertrand will choose which questions they want to answer. And after that, do keep sending them in, and our team do try and answer them online as often as they can. You can follow the adventure, of course. It's going to be taking place next year. We don't know when exactly. We think around about March, but we do know that it has to be in that window because we have to avoid the monsoon. It's going to be a very, very difficult journey. Again, it's a very, very passionate adventure, and we are taking a leap into the unknown yet again. The prototype gave us a lot of indications about what we could do, but to undertake a 35,000 kilometer round the world voyage is something else. Traveling to very different countries as well. We'll be going through India, Myanmar, China, across the US again, and 2 huge ocean crossings across the Pacific and across the Atlantic Oceans. And if you want to get involved, you can sign up to our supporters program. Well worth doing. You get sent exclusive information, updates about Solar Impulse.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And I think now
please have your seats. Thank you very much.
it's time to start the program. You're watching live images of Solar Impulse 2, the unveiling, which is taking place shortly. The program will begin in just a few minutes' time. There are so many people here, all desperate to see this aeroplane, that they're still coming to their seats. Lots of VIPs who are here as well. Prince Albert of Monaco, to name just one. Many members of embassies who have some connection with Solar Impulse and the trip around the world that this plane is going to take next year. A 35,000 kilometer journey around the world, the first time that a plane has done so, powered purely by the sun's rays. That's going to be coming up very shortly. We're just waiting for the final people to take their seats, and then the head of communication for Solar Impulse, Gregory Blatt, will begin the proceedings. You're going to hear some speeches by Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg, the two pilots, and the people who have made this whole thing happen. They started with just a PowerPoint presentation 10 years ago at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, and now here we are. A plane that many people said was impossible has been built and will fly around the world next year. We've got a few films that we'll be showing you as well before the unveiling, giving you some ideas of just why this is such an extraordinary project and a bit more about the many people. Over 80 engineers, technicians and specialists involved in this, 90 partner companies as well, and you'll also get a chance to find out more about what those partner companies have been doing, what their input has been to this extraordinary project. You can ask questions yourself via Twitter. Just go to #DiscoverSI2 or via this website. If you're looking at this through solarimpulse.com, just below the picture, you can see a comments page, and we'll choose some of the best questions, and André and Bertrand will answer them live. That will be at about 5 o'clock Central European time, although we are running a little later than we decided. It's not exactly Swiss time, but hey, we do what we can. And it's a lot of organisation, a lot of people to herd into this large hangar, get them all sitting down and enjoying the program. So you will get a chance to see this plane for the first time. It's been kept under wraps so that you can enjoy it all here and see what I've been privileged enough to see already. Believe you me, it is worth the wait. It's quite extraordinary. If you've already seen the first Solar Impulse plane, Solar Impulse 1, that was lovely enough, but this one is even more beautiful, I think. Really fantastic design, and it certainly looks like it is capable of undertaking this first in aviation history around the world flight powered only by the sun's rays. Again, you can see the plane at the end of August at the Patron Air Show. If you can make it over to Switzerland, Patron is near the city of Lausanne in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and the website for that is air14.ch. More details will come a little later on. Before then, there'll be a few test flights as well. I'm sure many fans of Solar Impulse will be getting a glimpse of that. And if you want to be one of those fans, you should just join us. Join at the supporters program, where you get exclusive updates of what's happening. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. It really is pretty simple to get news of what Solar Impulse is up to, and we'll be feeding you photos and videos over the next few months before the voyage itself starts, this huge voyage of discovery, a leap into the unknown from March 2015 until July. Again, all details are on this website, solarimpulse.com. Well, I think we're imminent. It's quietening down a bit, and it looks like everyone is now in their seats. We're all ready to hear a few words from Gregory Blatt and then André Borschberg and Bertrand Piccard.
and gentlemen, my name is Gregory Blatt. Welcome amongst us. What a pleasure to see so many friends, supporters, people who have been with us for 10 plus years. It's heartwarming, and sorry if my voice is a little shaky here, but it's just absolutely wonderful to see you all for such an important milestone. I've been asked to give a few housekeeping announcements. Typically in these type of events, I just need to alert you to the exits where there's fire escapes. That shouldn't be a problem. Today's ceremonies are being broadcasted on Solar Impulse TV Live. So for those who can't be with us, your friends, family, feel free to send them a little message to have them look at the website. You can also tweet at #DiscoverSI2. A special welcome also to our Swiss Embassy in India, who's doing something really cool and interesting. They've invited about 50 or 60 Indian students to the ambassador's residence, and they're watching us live. Welcome amongst us. Thank you all. I'd like to call up the mayor of Payerne, Mrs. Christa Luzier-Brodeur, who is, as I said, the mayor of Payerne and our wonderful host for this afternoon, to say a few opening greeting words. Mayor Brodeur.
Mesdames et messieurs les représentants des autorités, mesdames et messieurs les invités, mesdames et messieurs les membres du team Solar Impulse, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the municipal authorities, it's a great pleasure to welcome you in Payerne. Bienvenue à Payerne. Willkommen in Payerne. We are proud to have this beautiful airplane here today and to have the possibility to participate in this historic day. With the Solar Impulse project, we are daydreaming, not with stars, but with sun in the eyes. Internationally speaking, this project aims to show that technology can be a response to environmental challenges and improve the quality of life on our planet. Pour paraphraser Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, je dirais que pour ce qui est de l'avenir, vous n'êtes pas en train de le prévoir, mais bien de le rendre possible. And, locally speaking, we are moved and proud to be included in this project, which radiates Payerne and the region around the world. We are especially concerned. Payerne is also active in improving technology and solar energy. For example, we are developing the Aeropole, a technological area with access to the runway in order to accommodate aerospace companies. And we have the largest solar power plant project of Switzerland, which will be developed on the roofs and on the ground. Last but not least, mesdames et messieurs, Payerne has also a high-tech product requiring meticulous work, skills, and sun. The wine, of course, from our vineyards located in Lavaux. Wine that we will taste in a few moments, and of which Mr. Borschberg was one of the patrons. As a conclusion, I would like to thank the excellent cooperation between Solar Impulse and the local authorities. We wish good luck and a great success to the Solar Impulse team. The city is with you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mayor. And may I reciprocate on behalf of all of Solar Impulse. Your hospitality is absolutely wonderful, and we thank you for everything.
To go far into the future, some stories have to start way back in the past. Never before has a single family conquered, explored, and invented as much as the three Piccard generations. They have written history. But what about today? Is it still possible to write history? How can we live those same emotions again in the 21st century? what is still there to inspire the next generations? Today, Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg have teamed up to build the first airplane of perpetual endurance, able to fly day and night without fuel, and take it around the world on solar power by 2015. A challenge considered impossible by many specialists.
With scientific exploration, I want to inspire others to also achieve the impossible, thanks to pioneering spirit.
Bertrand Piccard, explorer and psychiatrist, wants to demonstrate how new technologies and pioneering spirit can bring a significant contribution to a more sustainable world.
I know that dreams fuel innovation, and I also know that human commitment and new technologies can really change the world.
André Borschberg, engineer, entrepreneur and professional pilot, leads the technical team who build the most incredible airplane of its time. Together with technical partners and mission specialists, he develops the strategies for the flight around the world and achieves the first day and night solar flight.
You have a tail wheel lift-off. You have a main wheel lift-off. 1 meter, 2 meters.
So much needs to be done in order to offer a safer world to our children. Nowadays, the new challenges concern environment, energy, and ecology. Our world desperately needs new solutions to reduce the negative impact of human beings on the delicate balance of nature.
If you have a message you want to get out, you need to have a weapon like this aeroplane to get the message out, the need to try to power our world on clean energy.
But for this, we need political courage and pioneering spirit.
Inspiring generations, bringing innovative solutions to the challenges of humanity. Inventing a brighter future.
It's amazing, just amazing.
It's the beginning of a revolution.
This engineering marvel touches on 4 really critical areas for the Department of Energy. These are examples of the technologies that will make 10 years from now look just as different as it does when we look back 10 years and see the enormous changes that we've had.
Behind every achievement, men and women have dedicated their passion and their courage to write the most incredible pages of the history books. They have invented the future by going beyond the frontiers of certainties. They have trusted in the power of their dreams, and their visions have changed the world. In the footsteps of these great pioneers, will Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg succeed in their attempt to achieve the first ever solar flight around the world? Will Solar Impulse 2 make it across continents and oceans without a single drop of fuel? Or is the challenge too high? Here again, the spirit of exploration has a role to play if we want to change the world. And you can be a part of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg.
Monseigneur, Monsieur le Conseiller fédéral, Excellencies, dear friends, welcome for this day that is so exciting for our entire team. Today, we are one step closer to our dream of flying around the world on solar power. After the first prototype that you've seen, Solar Impulse 2 is going to be unveiled, and this is the triumph of the entire technical team led by André. Each time I look at this airplane, I have a memory of my childhood coming back. And I'm sure you have the same memory. It's the Walt Disney animation cartoon of Dumbo. This baby elephant was born with ears that were so enormous that everybody was making fun of him, until he could deploy his ears and fly. When Solar Impulse was born 12 years ago, and we could show the enormous wings and the light weight of its structure on computer design, all the specialists in the world of aviation started to laugh, like stupid people can laugh at Dumbo. Today, this airplane exists. It's the most incredible airplane of its time. It can fly with no fuel, day and night, and we hope that we can make it around the world. But what strikes me even more personally than just the technology that makes this plane fly is the quality of the people who are part of Solar Impulse. The team, of course. You know, everybody is applying to be part of this team, to have a job at Solar Impulse. Poor people, they don't know how difficult it is. They don't know how high the threshold of anxiety must be to cope with all the question marks, with all the problems, the difficulties, the questions with no answers that we're facing every day in order to find the solutions. I have a huge respect for the team, and André is going to introduce and bring them all on stage in a moment. Of course, the partners also. Because all the people who, logically speaking, would have been part of this project did not come. All the specialists know it's impossible to make a plane like that, so we had to find people who did not know it was impossible, and they are here on the first rows. Partners who brought technology, partners who brought the funding in order to be able to make this project a reality. But here also, they had to cope with anxiety, I tell you. When the partners knew every year that we had only 6 months of financial visibility, and that potentially the project could stop anytime by lack of funding, they were with us. They brought the money. They believed in us. And this plane is their plane also. The friends who made all the missions possible across Europe, at the European Commission and Parliament, to the Bourget, at the Bourget Air Show. In Morocco, we have our friend Mustafa Bakouri, the president of the Moroccan Agency of Solar Energy, who organized all the mission in 2012 to cross the Strait of Gibraltar and go to the place where they built the biggest solar power plant in the world in Ouarzazate. Our friends from the United States who made this mission across America possible last year. The Angels, our friends who financially contributed also on a personal level to allow us to make this flight. And all the supporters. I tell you one thing. There is no room in this project for stubborn and stupid people. The quality of the people who are attracted by this project is just striking. Striking. And when we see all the supporters who see the plane flying, they don't come to say we congratulate you. They come to say we thank you. Because for them, in a world of financial crisis, in a world of quite bad governance, in a world of anxiety and stress, so many people need the values of pioneering spirit. So many people need to have dreams and know that dreams can come true. So many people need to have hope, to have solutions for the future. Solar Impulse is one example of what we can do when we believe that we can achieve the impossible. And this brings hope. But a part of this hope is about clean technologies, is about all the technologies that allow to protect humankind. And I'm very clear, it's not a misunderstanding when I say to protect humankind, because we always say we have to protect nature and the environment. But don't worry, nature is taking care of itself very well. And if humankind disappears, nature will continue. What we have to do is to protect humankind against pollution, against deprivation of natural resources, against all the problems that can destroy the value of human beings. This is why the supporters are so important, and this is why we have this transmission live on the web also today, to have the most possible number of people who follow us be able to participate with us today and be part of the quality of the people who make Solar Impulse possible. You are part of it. We thank you deeply, and we wanted to share that day with you because for all of us, it's one of the most important days of the project before we'll take off and land, hopefully successfully next year. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon to everyone. So what makes these two Solar Impulse airplanes so special? What's really unique in these two airplanes is that these are the only airplanes in the world which have an unlimited endurance. They can fly day and night, they can fly a week, they can fly a month. And why can we do that? Two reasons. First of all, we collect our energy directly on the airplane. No need to take any fuel on board from the ground. And second, these two airplanes are the most energy efficient airplane ever designed. So we had to drastically reduce the energy consumption of the airplane to make it feasible to fly through the night. And when we started the project 10 years ago with Bertrand, just after the feasibility study we did with the EPFL, we were facing the unknown. There was no benchmark. There was no similar airplane which have ever been flown. So we decided to build two of them because we knew that, and we had the feeling that with the first one, we would not be close to the optimum that we were looking for. So the first airplane is, for us, was a prototype, was a flying test bench, if I can put it this way. was a flying laboratory, but to demonstrate first that these technology work, but also that we can fly day and night, and that's what we did in July 2010. Now, we need to fly around the world. And to fly around the world, we need to be able to cross oceans. And with the speed of this airplane, this will take at least 5 days, 5 nights, just to fly from China to the US, or from the US back to Europe. So we need an airplane able to travel. So if you look at the difference between the first airplane and the one that you will discover very shortly, there are 3 major differences. Well, the first one is that we didn't want to spend too much time taking swimming lessons, so we really had to work on the reliability of the airplane, make sure that we had no trouble in the air. You know, when you fly from the Switzerland to China, it takes about 12 hours. If you have to change a motor, you can do this after that. If you have to change a computer, you can replace it. But when we will fly, it will take 120 hours at least. No time to do maintenance, no time to change a part. So the architecture of this airplane had to be designed in such a way that this will allow us to fly so long. The second difference between these 2 airplanes is that we needed also a higher performance. When we leave the coast of China or the coast of the United States, it's nice weather, but we don't know what the weather is going to be 5, 6 days later when we arrive on the other side of the ocean. So we need to be able to cross clouds, to fly through clouds. We need to be able to fly with the skies, which are partly covered. We need energy reserves. And this we achieved in 3 ways. First, this airplane is bigger than the first one, even bigger. 8 meters more wingspan, 15%. Second, also, we had to use the new technologies, lighter materials. Decision, for example, has used carbon layers, which weighs 25 grams per square meters. It's 1/3 of the weight of the paper that you have and that you get from your printing machine at home. We also needed to have a more efficient system, more efficient components, more efficient motors. The electric motors that you have in this airplane have an efficiency of 94%. They're manufactured by Etel, a company close in Neuchâtel. And I think it's a good demonstration about what small to mid-sized companies are doing in Switzerland, being innovative, being extremely advanced in these technologies. The third difference with these 2 airplanes is that as we have to fly 5 days, 5 nights, we had to develop an environment for the pilots to sustain, in fact, this long duration. We can simply say that this airplane is really sustainable in terms of energy, and we have to make the pilots sustainable as well. So what we went is from a bad economy class on the first airplane, thanks to Lontal, another Swiss company, to a good business class seat. But what we also had to do is, of course, to have an autopilot. But as we were alone, we had to think about a system which we call a virtual co-pilot, an equipment which supervises what this airplane is doing and wake up the pilot when something is going wrong and when the pilot has to intervene. And if you look at these 3 differences, the difficulty is that they are conflicting in their objective. If you want to be more reliable, you will be heavier. If you are heavier, you will have less performance, which is not what we want. And I tell you, it's a tremendous work, and it's extremely difficult to, at a certain stage, stop the development. Because you always can do better. You always can find more margin. You can always be safer. But at a certain stage, you have to make all these developments, all these technologies, all these ideas converge together so that today we are able to present you a finished airplane. But enough talkings. Let's discover the construction of Solar Impulse 2 in images. Thank you.
Several years ago, following his circumnavigation of the globe in a hot air balloon, Bertrand Piccard promised that his next voyage around the world would use only renewable energy. A few months later, he met André Borschberg, entrepreneur and seasoned pilot, and together they set themselves a challenge beyond the limits of the imagination. André committed himself to the task of building, testing, and flying a revolutionary prototype plane, while Bertrand traveled the world bringing together partners and promoting the clean technologies that can safeguard our planet's natural resources. With this plane, they made the first 24-hour solar flight in history and flew across Europe, Africa, and the United States. In a few months' time, they will attempt to fly around the world in a second plane, powered exclusively by solar energy. To make this happen, the Solar Impulse engineers have had to rethink their ways of working, to look at things differently and see the bigger picture. The first aeroplane was a test, a flying laboratory. The second is the plane for the journey, built to make very long flights, longer than any plane has ever made. It's more powerful, more efficient, and above all, more reliable. A new cockpit has been designed and built so that the pilot, climbing every evening to an altitude of 8,000 meters, where the lack of oxygen is fatal to a human being, can survive for 5 consecutive days and nights. The team members had to train, test themselves, discover the limits of human endurance, and ensure that the cockpit is as ergonomic as possible. Every section, every element of the plane has been rethought and built to be even lighter and more resilient than before. The weight has been reduced gram by gram, thereby increasing performance and available energy. Then the plane has been tested again and again in order to guarantee overall reliability, pushing back the limits of the materials, the engineering, and the team.
I think one of the most critical tests of this fuselage, we did so much simulation, so much calculation that of course it should work, but as we are so close to the limits, you never know. Certainly the moment when we will have the maximum emotion in this test. For the time being, it works.
Energy efficiency has been increased to ensure it can stay in the air for longer periods and fly even further.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear friends, it's time to discover this new airplane, Solar Impulse 2.
Éclairé par l'intérieur.
You know, when we started the project a little bit more than 10 years ago, our first idea with Bertrand was to contact the aircraft manufacturers, sailplane manufacturers, these companies who know how to build lights, and we proposed them to build this airplane. And very quickly, the answer came back, and they said, it's impossible. But as we were sure that there was a solution, we decided to set up our own team and to look for our own solution. And the first step, of course, when you build such an airplane is to define the concept, what we call the conceptual design, how it should look like, what is its size. And I would like to call on stage Peter Fry. Peter and I we know each other since more than 35 years. When we were together, military pilot in the same squadron. And Peter is the brain who defined, in fact, this concept, what you can see here, and all the aerodynamic which is around. And I would like to call Robert Freffel on stage. And for me, Robert is a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful examples of what we experience in this kind of project. Examples about self-realization. Robert joined us as a designer in the structure team, coming from the Formula One. And step by step, he became the lead engineer for Solar Impulse 2.
Bravo, merci à toi.
And when you have the concept, you start to design all the parts that you have in this airplane. And you need very sophisticated tool, 3D software from Dassault System, what we call Katia. And Jonas Scher with his team did all this work, invented all these parts. So if I can have Jonas to join us here. And when you have invented these parts, you see how they look like, but you don't know how resistant they are. So you need someone who does what we call the analysis, the calculation. How much material do we need? How solid it has to be, knowing a little bit the kind of loads it has to counter. And this is the team of Gary Pillar, who did all this work. And to make his work, of course, he has to know the loads. And it's a very complex calculation because you have to start from what this airplane could encounter. Which kind of crazy maneuver could the pilots do during the life of the airplane? Which kind of turbulence they could meet? And from this, we calculate the loads. And the person who did that, which is the input for Gary, is Richard Leblois. And now we have these parts which have been designed, which have been calculated. Of course, they have to be manufactured. This was by all the 80 partners which we have around as a family within this project. And all these parts were delivered in Dubendorf. Of course, they have to be tested individually, and then they have to be assembled to what you see. So that's done in the workshop, and Martin Meyer did and organized all this process. But you see the structure, you see the covering, but you cannot imagine that behind this covering there are kilometers of wires. There are hundreds of computers and printed circuit boards, fuses, strain gauges, of course motors, of course batteries, all linked to 18,000 solar cells. So the electric team, under the leadership of Thomas Seiler, did all this architecture and integrated this in the airplane. And I think it's also a great example of the way we work, because Thomas used to work for our partner Swisscom, and many years ago we worked along so well that we very gently asked Swisscom if we could get, in fact, this engineer on board, and the response, as you can see, has been yes, but it was a tremendous experience. So from a partnership, we created now this added value. Last but not least, now we have an airplane, and of course we don't know if it's going to fly. We'll know it in a month, but we have to work in advance to make sure that the flight controls are properly dimensioned and that we can train the pilots. And Ralph Paul is the man who is molding all that and has built the simulator that we use and train. Thank you. Okay, so let's have a picture all together. Bertrand, can you come in the middle like this? And I would like to call all the engineers here on the stage, all the members of our co-team, from the mission team, from the flight test team, from the marketing communication. Some of them cannot come because they are busy working around, but please come on stage to meet everyone.
Ça fait du monde, hein? Ça fait du monde, ouais.
This are live pictures from Payerne in Switzerland at the unveiling of Solar Impulse 2, the plane that will be flying around the world, powered only by solar energy. And you can see many, not all, but many of the people who make up this team. There are many more who can't be on stage because they're doing things like me right now, in fact, but at least 80 people in all. And that does not include the many technicians and consultants that work for Solar Impulse on a temporary basis. Some people have been here for a long time.
It's a way to see the
10
thing gets
years,
too big,
some of
it's
them.
the time it takes to make a picture.
And there'll be even more people. André is quite correct. The team will be growing even more as we get closer to the round-the-world flight. Towards the end of the year, many more people will be employed.
I tell you, these people need and deserve your applause. They've made Solar Impulse. This standing ovation, guys.
Okay, so.
And I'd like to add a big round of applause to the multimedia team, who you can't see, but they're the team bringing you these pictures now, who do an extraordinary job and have produced the fantastic videos you can see on solarimpulse.com.
You have seen the team, you have seen the airplane, but if we travel around the world, Solar Impulse is also a lot of countries. This is why we wanted to invite the ambassadors of the countries which will be part of the flight around the world, in the United Arab Emirates, India, Myanmar, China, of course, United States, North Africa, Europe, and you see that it's also a lot of negotiations for permits to fly, a lot of diplomacy. And I tell you by experience, after having flown around the world in a balloon 15 years ago, how important it is to have a Swiss registration. When you have the Swiss flag, you are welcomed. And this is why we have this very strong collaboration with the Swiss Confederation, who is actually hosting us here. This is the Bureau Fédéral d'Enquête pour les Accidents d'Aviation, the BFU, owned by the Swiss Confederation. So I would like to ask the highest level to also welcome us, Mr. Federal Councillor Uli Maurer. If you can address a few words to all our friends, it would be a great honor for us.
Chers pilotes, chers amis, aventuriers, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, I think I can say today that's a great day, not only for Mr. Piccard, not only for his team, not only for Switzerland, I think that's a great day also for the world. Congratulations for this work. Merci pour ce parfait tour d'horizon de votre projet. Audacieux, précis et parfaitement organisé. Je suis impressionné. En Suisse, pour ça, on a un mot pour la Suisse population connaît ça. On peut dire en bref, Freude herrscht. Au nom du Conseil fédéral, j'aimerais encore une fois féliciter les hommes et les femmes.
On behalf of the Swiss government, I want to thank again the men and women who work on this new plane. The pilots, first of all, but also those who will stay on the ground.
Félicitations, Monsieur Piccard. Vous êtes le père de Solar Impulse.
Congratulations, Mr. Piccard. You are the father of Solar Impulse. And I use the word father, which fits you well.
Dans votre famille, on le sait, vous êtes aventurier de père en
In your
fils.
family, as we know well,
Ce goût
you are
pour
adventurers
la découverte,
from father
on
to
peut
son.
dire que vous l'avez dans le sang.
This taste for
Merci
discovery,
de
one could
présenter,
say,
comme vous le
is in
faites,
your blood.
Une Suisse ingénieuse, moderne et dynamique aux quatre coins du monde.
Thank you for presenting, as you do, a Switzerland that is ingenious, modern and dynamic to the four corners of the world.
Fier de voir un ancien pilote de l'armée suisse.
Bravo to you too, Mr. Borschberg. I'm particularly proud to see an ex-Swiss Army pilot at the controls of this project.
Hier, comme pilote militaire au
You represent our know-how Yesterday, as military pilot at the controls of your Tiger fighter plane, you discovered a new dimension and a certain freedom in the air. Today, as an adventurer, you share it with us. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the Solar Impulse team, through you, this aeroplane symbolizes the efforts of a team of adventurers, a real army at the service of innovation. Pioneers for whom almost anything is possible, for whom all experiences are positive, including bad weather, a hole in the wing, or a broken axle. The next attempt is often the successful one. There is no better motor than perseverance, and for you, of course, the sun. Solar Impulse is proof that it's necessary to look far ahead and know how to take risks. Proof also that it's important to stick to the path you've chosen, even if no directions exist. And that is why Solar Impulse is a project born in Switzerland. Switzerland has always followed its own path, that of a liberal state that allows good ideas to grow. Here, creative spirits aren't stifled by regulation. We let them flourish for the benefit of all. Our freedom favors innovation, and innovation brings progress. Switzerland has always been a laboratory of ideas. These are born of a symbol, Swiss-made. What I love about this Swiss spirit is that it's precise and popular. We make the most beautiful watches, we develop the latest technologies, like Solar Impulse, and we're expert makers of chocolate and cheese. The only thing we don't make yet is fighter planes. If we sometimes smile at our traditions, we still respect them, and well beyond our frontiers. Your presence here today is a chance to remind us of the luck we have and have given ourselves in Switzerland to be able to take part in the creation of such a project. Ladies and gentlemen, the Swiss government have themselves been involved by following and supporting Solar Impulse from the start. My defense department, for example, has put a roof over the project's head in Dubendorf and provided a runway here at Payerne. This country has found in Bertrand Piccard, André Borschberg and their team a great ambassador for Swiss innovation. Switzerland is a small country with big objectives. She's very often placed top of international tables. We need to keep this position of strength and therefore defend it. That's why our country needs people like you, inventive, passionate, and sometimes a bit crazy. Thanks to all of you for letting us live, several years later, Jules Verne's dream. His voyage is now possible thanks to the transport revolution. Today, you're leading a new revolution, a revolution looking to future generations. I want you to live, like the adventurers of Jules Verne, an extraordinary adventure in a sky without clouds. Bravo to you all, and good luck.
We have amongst us, just leave it 1 second. We have amongst us another head of state who is also a personal friend for André and I, an incredibly powerful ambassador for sustainability and renewable energy, who is one of our patrons. It's Prince Albert of Monaco. And I would like to let Albert give a couple of words here. It's really our friendship who links us here.
Thank you very much, Bertrand. Merci beaucoup, André. Well, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'll be very brief. It's a great pleasure to be here today. It's a great honor. And not only because Bertrand and André were kind enough to make me a patron, one of the honorary patrons of this project, but through our friendship, through the links that we have with my foundation, and of course, the many visits that Bertrand and André have made to Monaco, to the Principality of Monaco. It's great to be associated even a little bit remotely to this project, to this incredible project. And it's a great hope, I think, and a great signal of hope for the future through this incredible project of innovation, of technology, of passion, but also of courage and of incredible demonstration of the human spirit and what it can achieve if we think a little differently and think in terms of sustainability and what the possibility of sustainable means of transportation and flight over long distances through solar power means for future development. So I think we are very proud to be associated with my foundation and Monaco to this project. We are, hopefully, will be a little more involved, but I'll let further discussions with Bertrand and André, and we will, I think, make further announcements in the future. But we will, of course, be by their side all the time, as we have been. I've been fortunate enough to be present here and in Düsseldorf several times for during the process of the first and the development of the first plane, and I hope, of course, to be by their side in many more occasions. But I think we are witnessing, I think, an incredible event today, and it's wonderful to be here in Payerne, to be here in Switzerland, and thank you very much for the hospitality and the great relationship we also have with this country, Switzerland. And I think this is really an incredible achievement, and thanks and congratulations to the entire team for their wonderful work. And we hope that this will be an extremely successful project all through its different phases, and of course for next year for this extraordinary adventure and undertaking that these men and women will be doing. So thank you very much. All my best wishes of success, and see you soon. Merci beaucoup.
Merci Albert. Merci pour ces mots.
Technology doesn't come out of the blue. You've seen the people who've built the airplane under the leadership of André. Now we'd like to take a moment to debate about the technologies with the partners who have made it possible. It's maybe the scientific part. So for all the engineers, you can lug that into your instruction, into your learning, into your education, because I'm sure you're going to learn a lot of things. The first partner who's going to come on stage is also the first main partner who allowed Solar Impulse to start. That's a long tradition of friendship between my family and Solvay, and we would like to ask Jean-Pierre Clamadieu, CEO of Solvay, to come on stage.
Jean-Pierre.
Omega went to the moon. It was not enough, they wanted to go to the sun. President of Omega, Steve Urquhart. ABB, a company that is actually putting on the market all the technologies that Solar Impulse is providing, Maxime Gavy. You are Group Senior Vice President and the Head of Solar Initiative. That's your place to be. Altran. Altran already supported my charity foundation 15 years ago. They were one of the first to say, I'm coming, when Solar Impulse was born. Altran, Pascal Brier. Bayer Material Science, and you will learn also what is their contribution, Richard Notcourt. You want to know everything about risk management? Everybody asks us, are you afraid to fly? Is it dangerous? Well, since we have an insurance company, it's not dangerous anymore. Agostino Galvani, CEO of Swiss Re Corporate Solutions. We want to communicate with our supporters. We told you how important it was to have this link with the people who follow us. It's possible with Google. Patrick Warning, Country Director of Google Switzerland.
Patrick.
Now, if we want to know where is the plane, you still need to have a part of the team that André presented communicating with the airplane. This is through the Swisscom satellite system. You will know later how that was made possible. Urs Scheppi, CEO of Swisscom. J'espère que j'ai oublié personne. Yes. So please take a seat. Urs, can you maybe go there?
Non, c'est ici qu'on se met.
Ah, nous on est là?
Oui.
OK. When we were starting the project, Solvay was the company who could help us to make the plane as light as possible. The problem was that Solvay never made any sponsoring in its history. How and why did Solvay come on board Solar Impulse?
Well, you know, I'm in a bit of an interesting position because I came on board within Solvay only 2 years ago as the CEO of a company, but I really like to share with you the fact that I felt in love with this project. I think it clearly embodies the values that Solvay stands for: entrepreneurship, innovation, science. And when I look back at 2004, I was not there at the time, but I think you were able, Bertrand, to convince us that indeed this project is not just the usual sponsoring, but we could become a technology partner of Solvay, bring our product onto this plane, the first one, and now the second one. And we saw that not at all as a sponsoring project, but as a way to demonstrate what our technologies can bring. Internally, it had very, very impressive impact. It's probably one of the reasons why I was so impressed when I came on board within Solvay, to see that this project creates proudness, I should say, within the company, that people are very, very pleased to see our name on this plane because they were able to share this adventure. And for a few years, it was not just seeing you on a screen or on TV, it was really working very hard to help your teams come up with the right solution. So I think it was really a very, very good decision. Jacques van Rijksvorsel, who is with us today, who is a member of the executive committee, was the person behind this decision. He was effective enough to convince the whole executive committee to support this project. But frankly speaking, I think it was a very, very good decision that was taken, and something which clearly is a milestone in Solvay's history.
Omega is known for its watches, its watch business, but Omega is also part of a larger group, and there is a lot of technology around. Steve, what are the major projects that you worked on for this airplane?
Well, before coming to that, I just wanted to say, I think one thing that Bertrand said tonight is so true. Back in 2005, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. I mean, it was like, you know, a very opaque situation to build a solar plane, especially for a company who has had no experience in this at all. We didn't come on board to bring a technical attribution to the whole project, but, you know, being part of the group, as you say, our company already involved in smart energy and the smart car. Originally, the late Mr. Hayek was very involved in that. So basically what we did, in addition to having a fantastic message to help, you know, promote and position the Omega brand worldwide. You mentioned before the moon, and obviously the sun is a little bit further away, but still it's the same idea. You know, I know with your team we developed the landing lights, which I think were extremely useful, especially in terms of weight distribution. I think I'm not an expert in the technical side, but I know the distribution. I mean, the weight of each light is like 3 grams for 10 watts, which is something unbelievable. That helps you at the beginning. Secondly, we brought expertise to the test bench and also to the Omega technical side. Also, Mr. Nicolier, who is a very good friend of Omega, who's been into space also and on the board of the group, also helped us with that. And now for Solar Impulse number 2, we've made something very special, the energy dispatcher, which I think is going to really play a big role in helping to compensate if ever, which will never happen, one of the engines would have a problem. This could help to compensate the energy. Now, saying all this, I talk like a technical person, which I'm not. And Omega, as you said, we're making watches. And I just wanted to reiterate that for us, it was a fantastic message to be associated with for our brand. That's being the word pioneering spirit. André in the film used those words a lot, but it's been part of Omega's legacy since over 100 years. Just to think today is nearly 100 years. We timed the first ever flying event, which was the Gordon Bennett Trophy in Zurich. So it's really 100 years ago where the first balloon race was there. Obviously we went to the moon. And it's great to see you two wearing the X-33 watch, which we developed with NASA to go to the space station, which we modified a little bit for this next mission. No, it's a great honor for me to be part of this fantastic venture. Thank you.
You see here once more, sorry, yes. You all see here once more how it's companies from outside the world of aviation who contributed. When Steve Urquhart was speaking about the Omega instrument, he was just a little too modest to say that Omega invented the most precise instrument for aviation to indicate the bank to the pilot. And it's a watch company who makes now the most precise airplane instrument. Absolutely great.
I won't quote you on that, but...
We needed, and you've heard a lot of times this word, the lightest possible airplane. When we speak of lightness, we have Solvay and Bayer Material Science joining venture together. And this is something we're very proud of. Companies who potentially could be competitors work together. And the battery is a beautiful example. And if you can speak a little bit of also the special foam that you developed.
Absolutely, Bertrand. And I mean, I was asked, I don't know how many times this morning by groups and groups of journalists about why we got involved. And it was very easy in the end to explain that once you meet Bertrand and André and you listen to their passion and you see what they're trying to do and the boundaries they're trying to push. And when you come from a company like Bayer, where our slogan is science for a better life, I mean, the two things just coupled up. And it really gave us the opportunity, as you say, to work with new technologies, with new materials, to push ourselves to new boundaries in terms of the practicalities and the capabilities of the products that we develop. And with, together with Solvay, you know, I think the combination of companies like ours working together, it's not just one small step we're taking in terms of progress. This is good. I don't know if it's my phone or what, but it's the ability to take that mega leap. And when you find companies partnering and working together, that's where we start to have the really big impacts, which I think we've done here with the battery technology, with the foams that we've developed that cover the batteries and protect the batteries from the extreme cold and the extreme heat. And not just the batteries as well. I mean, the whole cockpit you see now in front of you, the new cockpit, of which we're very proud, contains a lot of our technology. And we're not just keeping the batteries warm and the batteries cold, we're keeping the pilots warm and the pilots cold with some of the latest, it's our pleasure, with some of the latest technology. And this is technology that only exists today on this plane. And in the next years, what you'll see is the same technology dropping into the automotive industry, dropping into the refrigeration industry, and everybody will be getting the benefit from the innovation that we've developed, thanks to the pressure that Solar Impulse has put on us to really deliver. So it's been a great opportunity for us.
The credibility of the message of Solar Impulse is when the technologies that the world needs and that we promote through this adventure can come to the public. And there is one company who is working on that since a very long time, it's ABB. ABB is really putting on the market all the technologies that allow to make a reality the message that we want to spread. So, Maxine, I would be very happy if you could speak a little bit about it. Of course, solar energy is very important for you, but not only. The converters, all the way to produce energy through wind power at a very, very low cost of losses, your DC high current transport, all this is absolutely fascinating for the world.
Yes, and first of all, we're very happy to be here.
On peut avoir le micro de Gavin, s'il vous plaît, de Maxine, s'il vous plaît.
Does it work?
Yes, we're very happy to be here and be a new sponsor. In terms of what ABB does, if you look at the global energy demand, it will continue to grow, and solar is going to be a significant contributor in meeting this demand going forward. And in fact, solar is a vehicle enabling the decoupling of global growth and economic growth from the environmental impact. We've been in solar for a very long time, since the 1990s, and our DNA is basically in power electronics, and we've have a portfolio of products that are in systems and solutions as well, that go across a whole spectrum of inverters, as you mentioned, low voltage products, and also grid connecting products. And we've been able to demonstrate our capability to really enable solar even further. And with that, and solar is very important to us. We made $1 billion investment last year in acquiring the #2 inverter manufacturer in the world. So it really shows our commitment to the industry, to this sector as a whole. And in fact, solar is very important to us. Our vision is power and productivity for a better world, and solar fits quite well within that vision.
Your CEO, Uli Spiesshofer, made a beautiful quote in a common interview we had. We can run the world without consuming the earth. And I sent that quote on Twitter with the name of Uli, and I think it's the tweet who was the most retweeted in the last month, and it's absolutely true.
Well, I think just to add, I believe we have a common vision between Solar Impulse and ABB, and that is really to address the challenges of growing energy demand with increased efficiency and lower environmental impact for secure the future for the generations to come. So I think that's very key.
Altran was the first company who contacted us before we started the project, was during the feasibility study, mid-2003. At the time, they convinced me of the importance of having a very strong project management right at the beginning. I think I was a little bit skeptical, but thanks God, I was convinced because that's what we did together. But since then, you did a lot of work for us. And I think there is one piece in this airplane which also is extremely interesting in terms of engineering and very new. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes. You know, when you're a group of 21 engineers worldwide, we used to call them innovation makers. You need to show that you are innovation makers. So that's what we're trying to do for 10 years with you, and we're very happy to do that. One of the last mission that we were very happy to take on that plane, and thank you for giving us that mission, was to try to help you being able with that plane to do a longer mission, as you said before. You're going to have to stay for 5 days into the plane. So obviously you will need some software and hardware helping at some moments where you need to rest, when you need to communicate with the ground, when you need to eat, or some other activities that you need to do. So we needed to have something like a virtual co-pilot that would help you during the flight. So that's what we've done lately. And this virtual co-pilot is in fact 2 modules. The first one is the co-pilot itself, which in fact is a support to you during the flight, helping you measure what's going on and making sure that everything is going right with the plane itself. But it's not enough. We saw that we also needed to have something which would monitor what's happening. So something which would not only monitor the plane, but would also monitor the co-pilot itself. So we are currently developing what is called a MAS, so a monitoring and alerting system, which is monitoring the co-pilot, which is monitoring the plane itself. And if anything goes wrong, if we have, for example, different parameters between what the plane is telling us and what the co-pilot is telling us, then we will alert you with, we have a vibrating buzzing system that would be placed on your wrist, and then it would buzz and tell you, oh, you should look at it. Okay, so that's currently what we're developing for the plane, one of the elements.
I have one question. Is this virtual co-pilot a male or a female?
Yeah, you can call it the name you want, you know. That's going to be your call.
But the help is not only... Je peux avoir mon micro, s'il vous plaît? J'ai un micro là.
Non? Ouais,
Voilà.
Ça va?
Tu m'en passes un autre? The help is not only inside the plane with a virtual co-pilot, it's also on the ground with a real team making a virtual flight. And it's fantastic to see how the simulations are made by the team of Altran. And maybe this you can also explain a little bit, because when I was flying back from Morocco to Spain, and I was flying backward because the headwind was too strong, and the team of Altran told me, no, this is planned. We organized it like this for you to arrive on time in Madrid. I was a little skeptical in the beginning, but it worked.
Yes, thank you, Bertrand. I would like maybe to name someone, because Christophe Bezot, who's part of our team, is also part of your team for years now. And he's the guy who developed that modeling system for you. We began by doing virtual flight because before the first plane could fly, we needed to do some testing. So we developed a virtual flight which helped us understand how the plane would react before doing the real flights. And this modeling system is about 3 things very quickly. The first one is what we do 6 months in advance. So 6 months in advance, we are trying hundreds of routes to say what would be the best one and what gives us the best possibility to get to completion. Then the second one is 5 days before we launch the plane, we decide on the exact window of opportunity that we have. Should we start on Monday or Tuesday afternoon or morning? And then we define the final route. And the last stage is during the flight. Then we come to an online decision support system, which is taking into account 50,000 parameters, both from climate and the plane, and then which is helping you, telling you how you should fly, where you should go, and then sometimes taking some strange decision, but we think it's the best one.
And flying for such a duration, we knew that we needed a direct contact with the ground, working 24 hours, basically day and night. So we looked for the best satellite communication system. And we thought nobody could be better positioned to help us on this question than Swisscom. And at the time, we'd make a first evaluation, and the total system weighed from the components available something like 12 kilograms. And we went to Swisscom and we said, guys, it cannot exceed 5 kilograms. Can you make it? And what was your answer?
We take this challenge. So it was really a challenge, but for a company like Swisscom, which really works in a market which develops very fast, you need projects where you are challenged each day. And so we were very proud that you asked us to do this project. And a lot of experts told us you will never achieve it. But we are very happy that we achieve it. We have a solution now less than 5 kilos with a whole redundancy in it, so with 2 satellite links. And it uses less than 50 watts of power, so a very low consuming communication solution.
It's another proof that if people agree with you when you want to do something, it means you're not ambitious enough. If people tell you it's impossible, then it's interesting. And you managed to make the lightest satellite antenna for airplanes in the world. And it's just on the top of the vertical stabilizer. It is so light that the only counterweight we had to put was the logo of Swisscom on the bottom.
That's why we have done it, yes.
When we had the opportunity to bring this airplane to the United States, and maybe for some of you knows that was following a major problem we had on the SPA, and in fact of saying, you know, we lost 1 year, we had the impression we gained 1 year, and our goal was to bring back a partner from the US. Our dream that we had difficulty to communicate was that this partner should be Google, and it worked. And when we flew from Washington to New York, Google put us on their front page. You know, when you have this little window that you can type a name and you have only Google on it, and underneath that was the Solar Impulse airplane, and we had 5 million visitors who went to see this and came to see this flight. But let me ask you a question, Patrick. What were the reasons why Google decided to join Solar Impulse as a partner?
So, dear Bertrand, dear André, of course we love innovation and we love technology, and we have a lot of passion for moonshot projects that seem impossible. And this is one of these projects, and it's a great honor to be part of this group of partners. We would like to help to raise awareness, and Larry and Sergey came to see you, and they had immediately passion for the project. So maybe we can help to have more people see this wonderful project, to learn about alternative energy, to connect students, and the team has already done that in the last months. A lot of classrooms have been connected to you, and classrooms, teachers and students will be connected during the flight to you, and you can live broadcast, and they can go on a virtual field trip. So there's where we would like to help, and it's a great pleasure.
You know why we kept Swiss Re for the last question? It's because if you go to an insurance company and you say we want to fly around the world in solar airplane, everybody thinks we're crazy. But if we have all the specialists here explaining how it's going to work, then probably we minimize the risk. And this can be explained by our friend Agostino.
Well, thank you, Bertrand. I think that insurance is considered by many as a bit boring. It's not a very sexy place to work at. But in fact, insurance is something which is necessary to allow the progress, the development. And Solar Impulse is an example of something which is a challenge for insurance, but at the same time needs insurance. And you could also make similar comments with regard to renewable energy, because it is constantly evolving in terms of technology and therefore risk exposure, but for precisely that reason they need insurance. And Swiss Re claims to be particularly good at innovation, and claims to be particularly good at technology, technical capabilities. And therefore, for us, Solar Impulse was an excellent platform to show those values. But I have to say that listening to the comments of my colleagues here, I have to say that probably we all the corporations on this stage are sharing precisely those values, and that's probably why they are all top names. So we are not only proud to be a partner of Solar Impulse, but also proud to be one of a few top companies supporting it.
I think one of the first speeches I gave after my balloon flight around the world was Swiss Re. And meeting this company gave me really the impression it would be a perfect partner for us because they are dealing with sustainability, knowing the problem of climate change and dealing with it all the time. But at the time it was only a reinsurance company, and reinsurance company doesn't need to make any advertising, publicity, sponsorship, partnership. And when Swiss Re created the Swiss Re Corporate Solution Insurance, which is a possibility to sell insurances directly, then it became possible to work together. But we still share the same interest for sustainability. And you say it's not sexy insurance. No, I say the opposite. When we flew to Morocco at the invitation of Mustafa Bakouri and King Mohammed VI, we needed an insurance, and we got the insurance in 24 hours. So I tell you, this is really impressive.
Insurance is not sexy, Swiss Re tries to be sexy.
Solvay was the first company to join as a main partner in 2004. And I think they were right to come very early because together we could look at a lot of questions very early in the process and do research development. And I think you looked at more than 50 different questions, challenges in different fields. I think on one side, very much on energy efficiency. How can we collect more energy? How can we encapsulate better the solar cells we have? On the other side also, to gain weight, because weight, of course, here is a big issue. How important are these issues for the group?
These issues are really key to Solvay. I mean, we do believe that sustainability is a very important strategic lever for Solvay. When we discuss with our customers, whichever industry we are trying to serve, we have people telling us that they want to develop more sustainable product. And when we go into more practical things, sustainability for them, whether in the aerospace industry, in the automotive industry, in various industries that we are serving, sustainability means lightweight, very clear in automotive and aerospace, and it means also better energy management. And we have developed in our labs solutions which fits with these two issues or these two opportunities. And Solar Impulse was a great showcase of what our technologies can bring. I mean, this is mostly about what we call specialty polymers. We have 6,000 parts in this plane made of 13 different polymers, which are very high-tech plastics with very, very specific properties, which mostly goes into these two directions. How can we make more effective photovoltaic cells? How can we store energy more effectively? And by the way, a battery is just a chemical system, and chemistry has still a lot to bring to make batteries more effective. And on the other side, it's really lightweight. How can we make plastics which could replace metals with as good properties, in some cases even better properties than the best and the strongest of the metals, but weighing 1/5, 1/10 of what metal solutions would bring. So there was really a very, very good alignment between the challenges that Solar Impulse teams put on the table when we started working with you, and what our customers in the various markets that we serve are asking us. So once again, a great showcase for us, and frankly speaking, for our people in our labs, fantastic opportunities. When we put together internally teams to tell us, we have this challenge coming from André and Bertrand, we would like to come up with these types of solutions, I can tell you that the motivation was very high to come with the right product to fit with your needs.
It's interesting to see also, it's not just one breakthrough which makes it possible. You don't have here one invention which makes this airplane fly day and night. It's the sum of a lot of efforts. It's the sum of a lot of improvements. And in fact, it's the use of the technologies that we have available. If we can use intelligently plastic, we can replace metal parts, and we can save weight. So we can do this in a lot of situations, and that's really what we try to do with all the partners here on this airplane.
And if I may, André, the first time I met you, you were doing a test flight here, and I had the opportunity to spend a couple of hours with you and your team, and I was very impressed to see how focused you were on energy management. And this is also a very important theme for a company like Solvay. We are very large energy users, but we are focusing today on improving our footprint, reducing our energy consumption. And the way you've worked on this subject and this concept is very, very impressive. And I think it gives us a lot of ideas. This is very far from a chemical plant, but still the way you're addressing these energy issues gives us a lot of ideas and encouragement on how more effective we can become in our industrial activities.
Thank you. And it's interesting to see also how you manage to demonstrate, together with Bayer Material Science, that in the past, the chemical industry was seen as the industry who was polluting, and you turn this around in showing that in the future, the solutions will come from the chemical industry. And this is something people really have to understand.
Fully agree with you, obviously. I think, once again, with the challenges that we are facing with Solar Impulse, for which we brought the right answers, we are demonstrating that, yes, indeed, chemistry has still a lot to contribute to make this world a better world.
Exactly. And this is what you want to show, because I think not a lot of people know it, that you have organized the first prototype of Solar Impulse to be in the Cité des Sciences in Paris, where they have 3 million students every year to demonstrate this reality.
Yes, we thought it would be a great opportunity to demonstrate what chemistry can bring, and out of our discussion we decided to acquire the first Solar Impulse, and we are very proud to have the opportunity to make it available to a very large public, once again as a very simple but very convincing demonstration of what chemistry and science in general can bring to the world.
I'm sure Richard will be happy to make an echo on what Jean-Pierre Clamadieu just said.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think we have an incredible role to play if we are to achieve some of the targets that we're setting ourselves as a society going forward. If we're going to meet some of the pressures that are coming on us from legislation in terms of energy reduction and CO2 reduction, we have a huge job to play to achieve that. And I was thinking as we were talking there, you know, we're currently developing a technology today where we can take carbon dioxide and we can catalyze that back into polyurethane foams that are, for example, insulating this plane, resulting in no more emissions of carbon dioxide, but reusing the gas, and also a 30% reduction in oil consumption in making the foams. So when you start looking at closing the carbon loop and really think about plastics as just borrowing carbon, taking it through a useful life cycle, and then putting it back into something useful again to start its life over again, I think we're making a huge difference in the way people will look at the industry. I mean, I understand why the industry has the legacy it's got. It has been created over time. But the industry you see before you today is a very, very different industry, and one that is working together, with the pioneers of today to really make a difference for society tomorrow.
And one interesting example is when you invented this system to produce chlorine with 30% less energy. And chlorine is, I did not know it, but it's one of the products that is the most manufactured in the world. And while Europe still doesn't know that they can reduce their energy consumption, China has already included this process in their new factories. So that's a direct use of these technologies in terms of sustainability.
It is, and this ODC technology you talk about, I mean, it's actually between 30 and 50% reduction in energy usage. And in a country like Germany, if you think 4% of the total German energy consumption goes into the manufacture of chlorine, if you could take 50% of that out, that's equivalent to powering half of North Rhine-Westphalia, for example, or 2 nuclear power stations. So the if by implementing some of the technologies that are around today, not waiting for tomorrow, we could already be making a huge impact. And as you say rightly, the technology has been adopted by China. We've licensed it in China. And I think when you look at the way China, the current Chinese government is looking at the green revolution, they're very, very serious about pushing forward and making a huge difference. And I think if we don't start now, we'll be trying to catch up with them in the very near future.
Absolutely.
I have a special relationship with ABB. In fact, at the time it was BBC Brownbury. I did my engineering thesis on energy production, and I know that's one of your domains. But I also know that you get more and more interested with solar. Could you tell us a bit more about what you do in this field?
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, we have a. There we go. Thank you. We have a portfolio of products that apply to solar, and we've been in this industry since the 1990s. As a whole, what ABB does is we enable energy efficiency, sustainable transportation, and renewables, where solar is a significant part of that. And we've made some significant commitments recently to the industry. We believe it's a way to really reduce the emission. It's a way to achieve growth, economic growth, and improve the quality of life without increasing pollution, and also with reducing the overall energy consumption by utilizing all of the technologies that we have. And what's been interesting in working with Solar Impulse is their similarities in the areas that we are together. Really is energy efficiency, renewables, and how converting the power of renewables efficiently for global consumption. So this is clearly very important to us, and as I said, solar really plays into what we do as part of our vision.
Some implementation is also made in the Swisscom centers of telecommunication. And Urs, if you could explain this, what I've heard about the energy saving that you make with new systems in your most warm centers where you have to cool, and how much energy you save and how many households it is the equivalent to, I was very impressed. If you could share that with our friends.
Sustainability is a very important value of Swisscom, of the strategy of Swisscom. And therefore, we really try to be very innovative in technological solutions to save energy. And with our new data centers, Switzerland is one of the biggest consumer of electricity in Switzerland, and also the biggest customer for wind and solar energy in Switzerland. But with new technologies, you are able to save about 20 to 30% of your energy in the data center, and this is really a big contribution. But I think the biggest contribution which Swisscom can bring to the sustainability topic is using our products. Just taking an example, if you travel for a business meeting from Zurich to San Francisco, you need more energy as when you would drive around with your car a whole year. And if you do this with a telepresence solution or with a video conferencing solution, you save a lot of energy. So I would say use our products.
Now you understand why we have no airline company as sponsor.
But Google is also very much involved in these technologies. Google is a big user of energy. I mean, you transfer information, but this requires a lot of energy as well. So I know that clean technologies also play a very important role in your strategy.
Yes, and in charge of this infrastructure of Google and this green infrastructure is a Swiss person. It's employee number 8, Urs Hölzle, who is Senior Vice President for Infrastructure at Google, and it is at his heart that we work on these projects. Switzerland is a fantastic place to do that. We have the largest research and development office outside the United States, right here in Switzerland, with more than 1,000 engineers who have a lot of passions for these projects, working on products like Google+, YouTube, Google Maps and others. A lot of these projects are engineered here in Switzerland for the world. So we are very happy to join a project that is born in Switzerland and made for global impact.
Can you maybe explain a little bit also to our friends what we're going to do in the future, how they can use your tools to follow us, to know where is the plane, what the pilot is doing, to visualize, to talk with the team? We have a lot of projects coming from you.
Yes, of course. First of all, we want to raise awareness, right? We want to raise awareness to thousands and millions of people getting to know about this project and learning about this incredible innovation and this great adventure and challenge. And second, we will use technology and software not only for your team to work with each other and follow you around the globe and communicate with the pilots, but also students in classrooms all over the world to dial in with the video conference and have the virtual study tour and learn about technology, learn about innovation, and learn about these new energy efforts.
In a separate room, we are working on the flight of next year, and in fact, this year we are doing what we call a virtual flight. So we are using a computer which simulates what this airplane should do and will do, and this airplane flies around the world with the current weather conditions to learn, to see if we can make it, and of course to be ready for next year. And this tool has been developed now since 10 years by Altran, with the same engineer on board of this project. So I think it would be interesting to learn a bit more about that from you, Pascal.
Yeah, simulation and this kind of tool is one of our key knowledge. You know, everything which is about putting sensors or doing simulation. We have more than 3,000 engineers worldwide trying to build intelligent systems for planes, cars, medical devices. So, as I said before, what we're trying here is really to make sure that this module was built, as you said, for the virtual flight about 8 or 9 years ago, before the plane existed. And at the very beginning, we were able to modelize the plane and only 300 parameters. Today, as I said, it's 50,000 parameters that we are able to put into the system to help you make sure that you do the good decision. This kind of tool that we have built here, I think is a great help because it's been used for years. But it's also for us, that's a key element of attraction for young engineers when they see what we can do, and when also some other customers are seeing. I don't know if you remember, but we met a few years ago with a Formula One team, and when they saw what you were able to do with your plane, they were amazed because they could not do the same thing for their Formula One. They could not modelize so many parameters real time to decide when they should change the tire or stop the car or that type of thing. It's becoming so complex as a tool that it's very interesting. And for us, when we show that to students, you know, we recruit more than 4,000 engineers per year. And this tool, showing that tool in school, how we use that, is proving to people what technology can do. When you put technology into action, then they see what it means. Because then they say, wow, this is what I would do. Then I understand what I can do if I'm working for Altran.
I'm not sure you know yet that there are people on this panel who are also modelizing a lot of weather statistics in order to help the wind turbines of ABB, the farmers to use the crops of Richards better, and all these programs are available now, and they come from Swiss Re. Maybe Agostino, you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, sure. So I've mentioned earlier that Swiss Re is known for the technical capabilities, meaning the capability to understand complexity in what we insure. And if you allow also a little anecdote, because even for us, insuring a prototype of a plane is something which is not usual. And the anecdote is that one day in our London office, the risk Solar Impulse was offered, not just to us, but also to many other insurance players, because London is the marketplace for insurance. And there was no one which was ready to provide cover, including ourselves. And a few weeks later, then I received a visit by Bertrand in Zurich, and this was one of the topics. And I have to say, this was for us the reason to dedicate much more time and resources to understand the risk. We got access to the Solar Impulse team. We were able to really see the level of the technology they apply. By the way, also the track record of the pilots played an important role. And all that made us comfortable that the risk was possible. And this was how even a difficult company like Swiss Re, which would like to understand everything before providing insurance, was made comfortable. And by the way, I have a little present for you today, Bertrand and André, because the current insurance is related to the Solar Impulse 1, and I'm pleased to let you know that this is the insurance certificate for Solar Impulse 2. As from today, you're covered. As from today, you can fly. Thank you.
Hey, that's a good surprise. Thank you.
Agostino, many thanks. That's great.
Excellent. Omega helped us on different questions as we have seen. The lighting system that you see on the airplane, the instrument, but also a few years ago, built for us a test bench. So something which could help us to integrate every components, to test them together and not just separately. So technology is something which is very important for the group.
Very important, André, of course, I said before, but let's be honest, our main reason to help you was the dream that we saw behind this whole project for Omega. We're in a business where we're selling a dream. It may sound a bit corny, but it's true in the world we live in today. And I think this challenge, which follows what we've tried to do all the years, we've been involved in so many different projects that when there's a notion of daring, of challenge, of dream, Omega, obviously, we take it very much at heart. We're very happy that we can help you with the test bench, as I said before, also with the landing lights and also the new energy dispenser. But I repeat, the main reason why our brand is so happy to be with you is to be behind this dream and to be for a mission that we think is really so important for the future. I think we look back, people, you were saying before, I think there'll be many companies who are going to regret they didn't come with you. I won't mention any names or any series, but it's true. Because one day, people look back, like you showed a few pictures of the 1910, 1920. Maybe in 20, 40, 80 years' time, they'll look back and see this first round-the-world flight by a solar plane and see, and that's what I think Omega should be reminded. Nobody will talk about the landing lights back then. They'll talk about the fact that we were willing to go along with you and believe in you, and I think that's why we're very happy.
I remember very well when Nicolas Hayek told us the first time that when the Swatch car, solar car, won the race in Australia, the CEO of General Motors called him and said, "You won the race, you did better than us."
That's true.
And there will be a day, I tell you, when an airplane constructor will call you and say, "Thanks to you, Solar Impulse had the best efficient engines in the world."
Right, good. And by the way, I have a little idea, since I heard now that the prototype 1 will be with Solvay as number 2 sponsor in line. Could we get number 2 for our museum in Bienne, maybe?
Yes, we can discuss that. So, we could now continue for hours and days because the contribution of each partner is so important, is so interesting to hear how the impossible can be made possible. There are other partners also in the room who could speak about what they have done. The Force Motrice Bernoise, BKW, who tested our solar cells on the Jungfraujoch. Our friend Eric Frémont with Semper, wealth management company, who was the first one to pay a salary for engineers in our team. The Toyota people who, you have applause. the Toyota company, Switzerland, who allows us to drive with the type of cars, hybrid cars that corresponds to our philosophy. Well, there are a lot of companies who are really like Clarins, also supporting responsible trade, sustainable development. We all share the same values, but it's clear that we cannot prolong forever because we also would like to have some time for Q&As, so you can ask questions, and we would like to meet you also because you are our friends, our guests, and with André, we had so many things to do before the beginning of the unveiling ceremony that we couldn't meet you. So we have organized a cocktail after the Q&A with special products. I think we have wine from Payerne. We have cheese and food from the Pays d'en Haut, the place where I took off with a balloon for the round-the-world flight. You see, 15 years later, they're still so good friends, and they're supporting us today. So we'll have the Q&A, and then we'll have time to drink something all together. What are we doing, Greg? Okay, so thank you very much to all the partners. Thank you to all, and big applause.
Je voulais faire un selfie, mais j'y arriverai pas.
Comment? Ah zut.
Super. Merci à moi.
J'ai oublié ce truc-là. J'ai oublié ça. Ouais.
Il va pas.
Tu annonces les questions? Just 1 second, because Prince Albert is leaving. It was organized like this. Ciao, merci infiniment. Allez.
Plaisir de vous voir. Tout bon, hein? Ouais, c'était super.
Well, if you're watching Solar Impulse TV live now, the show has not quite finished. Many of you have been sending in questions since the beginning of the show.
We're going to wrap up with the next 15 or so minutes with some questions. We have lots of questions from the web. It's been coming in for the last 2 days. But let's do some questions from the audience, and if we have time, we'll grab a few from the web as well. I can't see, so we have 4 people walking around with microphones. Just raise your hands. Great.
We don't hear it for the microphone.
Vas-y.
Mais il n'entend rien, ouais.
Can we have the microphone in the room, please?
Is it on? It's on?
The microphone of Carol, number 1.
Number 1.
Ask the question and then I'll repeat it so everybody can hear it.
I'm not an engineer. My question is, you are storing energy.
Ooh la la.
You're storing energy for 5 nights, if I understand well. What happens if during the 5 days you run into, because of climate change, a lot of unexpected fog, clouds, that for many, many hours did not allow you to get the sunshine?
So we have 2 ways to cope with that. But first we have a big team on the ground. They are here behind, made of weather specialists, of people doing a lot of simulation, so predicting the weather and the routing of the airplane. So we should see a couple of days in advance that we will get into a difficult situation. So we'll change the route. And as we have no restriction with fuel, we have no fuel on board, we can wait. We can go south, we can go north, so we have a lot of flexibility. So the strategy is going to be very different, but of course we have to be careful, and the team on the ground is responsible for this analysis and routing of the aircraft.
Thank you.
Other question here.
Maybe before we get the microphone, I'll ask one from the web.
Yes.
What makes this plane more adaptable to confronting adverse weather conditions, ensuring pilot safety, pilot health, pilot nursing than the first airplane?
Well, it doesn't help to take more adverse weather. Maybe it's even the opposite, because when we're flying around Payerne with the first prototype, we know the weather. Now, when this airplane will be in the middle of the Pacific after 3 days, it might be much more unpredictable. But we have much better ways to simulate the routing, the weather, with all our team on the ground. And of course, it allows the pilot to be able to survive in this plane for 5 days and 5 nights. And it has enough room to take the life raft and the shark repellent powder.
We have a question in the 4th row. Carole? Okay, say it and I'll
Don't
repeat.
cut the microphone of Nick Beglinger, president of Swiss Cleantech. That's not polite. Try again. No, if you say nice things like this, take a microphone that works.
Well, thank you so much for this great project. On the technological front, I think all things are clear, but there are many issues on the political front to be addressed as well. How do you plan to use Solar Impulse's message to fight climate change, one of the most pressing problems we are facing as an economy and as society? Thanks.
Yeah, it's an interesting issue because it's clear that when we are in uncertainty, the political world does not know what to decide and how to regulate and legislate. And when we have an airplane like that really demonstrates what we can do, and we have partners that brings these technologies to the market, nobody can say we do not know and we don't know how to do it. And this is exactly what happened, for example, when we made this energy chart for the candidates of Switzerland to be elected at the parliament. And 15% of the candidates voted for this charter, saying, we commit for sustainable development, renewable energy, energy saving, and so on. And out of these 30% of the parliament elected were people who had signed. So statistically speaking, you have twice as much chance to be elected if you have really publicly committed to this renewable energy. And this was interesting. And we have some of our friends here. I see Fatih Derder, I see Christoph Anzinger, Roger Nordman, and I think there are a few others. And this is our link with the political world, because in the political world, we also need pioneers, not only in the field of aviation and exploration.
Second row. Do we have a microphone here?
Laurent Dassault. That's a great honor.
That's a great honor to be here today. And Bertrand, what is your next dream?
You know, we are already talking together with André about it. We have a lot of ideas, but it would be irrelevant to work on them already now. It is so difficult to fly around the world in a solar airplane, and we have to commit completely on it. We cannot be distracted. We always say we're making an attempt to fly around the world. We're not saying we will fly around the world. It's an attempt. It's difficult. We are working 18 hours a day to be ready for next March to be able to do it. So we know that there will be a life after the round the world, because this is an incentive for us to succeed. But of course, we cannot focus on anything right now and work on it. But this question allows me to also pay tribute to the visions of Laurent Dassault, because while all the airplane industry, airlines and so on denied all collaboration, Dassault accepted to make the design review, critical design review. It means that all the engineers led by André were challenged by a team of Dassault, about 12 engineers who came and challenged everything about safety, about energy, about structure, about testing. And they were the judges of the quality of the technical team. And fortunately, the judgment was very positive. But knowing that you had judged positively what we've done was a big relief for us.
Costas here, True Air Transport.
for news. What are the next steps till the first flight next year? And do you have decided which legs you're going to do between you?
What we have to do is different things. I mean, first we have to make this airplane fly. So we hope in 4 weeks' time it's going to be ready. We have to do some ground tests. So next Monday or next Tuesday, we'll take it out for the first time and see if the solar generator works, see if it's getting active. So that's going to be, I would say, certainly the first emotion, and the first flight scheduled mid-May. In parallel, what we have to do is to get all the authorization of the country we are either landing to or just overflying. And it takes quite a long time, and from the different embassies also to get the connection and to explain them what's really special about this airplane. But I have to say the response is very positive, but of course it's time consuming. So what we'll do next year, like we did in the States, in fact we alternate. I think we know that each of us would like to fly over one of the ocean. There are two, fortunately. I think the world is well done. And I think that will be exactly like we did in the past.
Exactly.
I have a questions from in the web. I'm getting them in my ear about the motors. Why four motors, and why are they grouped together?
4 motors because we have 4 main partners. No, now the serious answer only.
I like that answer. As Director of Communications, I really like that answer.
And they are together because the 4 partners are very close to each other as well. Now 4 motors because it's redundancy on one side, of course. If we lose one, we still have 3. And that's also the reasons why they are close together, because if you lose one, you don't get too much asymmetry. And that's a change we did from the first airplane, because we learned on different issues, different questions, we learned quite a lot, which was integrated here in Solar Impulse 2. Other question from the audience?
Yes? Microphone is coming on your left side.
Well,
yes, it works.
is it?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it's a wonderful project, and it's the project for the future. I would like to ask you, do you have this project for 5 days and 5 nights? If you're lucky and you have all the sunshine, can you vary the speed and do it in a faster speed? Can you vary the speed, or it's just fixed that you will have it in 5 days and 5 nights? If you have you're traveling on the skies where there's a lot of sunshine, can you, because you can have a capacity of storage, so can you upgrade the speed, or you just have to fix it in 5 days and 5 nights? Thank you.
During the night, we have to fly at the speed that saves the energy, and this is 25 knots, which is 45 kilometers per hour. That's the speed at which we have to fly. Otherwise, if we fly too fast, we have empty batteries before the morning. But in the day, when you have the sunshine, then you can fly faster with this plane, and that's a big advantage. With this one, we can fly much faster than with the first prototype. Excuse me?
Just 5 days and 5 nights, no change in the...
Well, it's 5 days and 5 nights. That's what we count for the Pacific. For the Pacific. Now, of course, if we have a huge tailwind, we will save time. But during the night, we fly lower, so we'll have the trade winds in the nose, and we might go backward during the night before we go ahead during the day. So it can even be longer than that. No, it's not the easiest way to fly around the world. But it's probably the most spectacular way we can achieve today to really attract the awareness of the political world, the media, the industry, the economy, to show what we can do with renewable energies.
We have a question in the back. Are we halfway down? Constant, yeah.
How do you prepare yourself mentally and physically for the 5-day and 5-night flight? I mean, you have to make maybe yoga or something else.
Well, we do both, as you said, mentally and physically. And one simple way to do it is to spend quite a long time in the flight simulator, which we did. Bertrand was 72 hours in December. I did it 2 years ago. And really to try to simulate the environment as close as possible to what we will have in the future. And train, not only flying, but train of how to rest, how to recover, how to keep energy. So that's one aspect of it. But of course, we have to keep fit. Don't think we are, and we need to be, really sportsmen. It's more general fitness and a good balance between body and mind. I do quite a lot of yoga and meditation, which helps also on these long flights. And Bertrand is doing self-hypnosis, which aims, in fact, for the similar goals.
And the health management is very important. We're followed by the Irslanden clinics, who are really knowing very well how our hearts work, our lungs work, our arteria. And I give you an example. We were invited by the Patron de France to fly with them 2 weeks ago. And we arrived with our medical file from Irslanden. We even had the scanner of the brain. And when we showed that to the French doctor, he said, wow, I don't need to know anything more. I know you are well followed medically. It was very funny. I think they had never seen that in their life.
We have time for one last question. I think there's one over Constantin's walking.
Can I go ahead?
Last question?
Yeah.
So it really has to be a good one because it's the last one. Huh?
Well, I don't know if it's a good one.
Where are you?
I wanted to know, because Solar Impulse is definitely a world-class project, don't you think it's high time we should have an Asian partner or a partner from a different continent than Europe and America?
You are absolutely right. We would be very happy to have partners also from other continents, but it's true that in the beginning, Europe knew us more and we had European partners. Then we went to the US and we had partners from America like Google, and we will fly to Asia, India, China, and if we can open to partnerships with other regions of the world, that's of course absolutely wonderful. Now it brings me, excuse me, I wanted to say that before during the panel, and it would be a real big mistake not to do it, but the date of today was not good for Schindler, who had their board management meeting. And nobody from Schindler could come today to speak about their involvement into the project. And it would be a huge mistake not to mention them, because you see Schindler everywhere on the airplane, on a jacket. It's one of the 4 main partners. Schindler moves 1 billion people every day, 1 billion people every day, escalators and elevators, and they know what it is to save energy and to have light structure. And this is what we work on. And of course, in the panel, there would have been Alfred Schindler or their head of research and engineering and innovation if only they could have come, because it would have been a big plus also for our panel, but they could not. So I apologize that I explain only now that they couldn't come. But thank you for the question about the partners.
But for the person who asked the question about China and India, please come to see us if you have a good idea.
This brings us to the end of our afternoon, and we were talking about partners, and I just wanted to show that this is an absolutely incredible project when you think that 80 companies and organizations have come together. You've met a few of them on our top level, but just to show you the list of all these amazing companies and technologies, and we also Bertrand mentioned some of the angels and pioneers. These are people who believed in Bertrand and André very early on. They need to be thanked.
On the plane there?
Some of them are also mentioned on the plane. And of course, we had some companies who helped us out with the tent, with the catering. To all of you, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you when we get back from around the world.
Well, now we're coming to the end of today's Solar Impulse TV broadcast. It's the end of the show, but it's not the end of the activities. Do keep checking in with solarimpulse.com. Tomorrow, for example, at 7:30 Central European Time, that's 7:30 p.m., there's going to be a virtual tour of the plane. And on Friday, there's going to be an online discussion with students from Tanzania and Hong Kong. And that will be at 8:30 a.m. Central European Time. That's on Friday. Lots still to come during 2014. And if you join us, if you join the supporters program, you'll get all the information emailed to you. There are test flights planned this year. You'll be able to see Solar Impulse 2 fly at the Payerne Air Show, and that will be at the end of August. Again, more information to come on this website. So from us here in Payerne, from all the team here, all the engineers, the multimedia team, the pilots, it's for me to say goodbye, and we look forward to catching up with you soon on Solar Impulse TV.